We'll do it live. So this is a good video for me to be putting up, and so let's just jump into it. Here's the screen that we're familiar with on our iPad simulator. I'm going to start the app, and I'm just going to shift into the composition here and let it run. So I'm starting to swipe. You can see the blank screen to begin with, and voila. Oh, aren't you good? Okay, so that should give you a pretty clear idea of what the reading experience of a Novillo is potentially like. This is the very, very first one that I've been able to put together of an entire screen, multiple panels, and sequencing in the way that I want them to be sequenced. So I'm pretty happy. This is also missing some of the bells and whistles, and those are going to come, but there's enough bells and whistles already to give me the control of the lines, the way they're drawn, thickness and opacity and color. I don't actually use color in here, but I do use opacity. So you can look at panel number 4 and you can see that the opacity of the lines drop back to match the original lines that were there. Let's run it again so you can see it. Come on, here we go. So it's in the old one, and then it reverts back to the original state when it rolls off the end of it about in point 120 and just begins again. So you have a chance to look now what's going on. Basically, I've broken this up into 3 sections. There are panels, hints, and artwork. And so the panels are obvious. The hints are the things that usually appear first, like the line that turns into a cup. And then the artwork is the rest of the lines that make sense of the drawing itself. So there's different ways that you could break drawings up, but this is my initial experiment to see how I could make it work. And I'm happy with the results. This is working pretty well. It's the goal that I've had for about 6 months, and that goal was to be able to show, you know, there's, this is the new experience I'm trying to build for people who want to present their graphic storytelling in a new way. You'll still have to use your own imagination to think about how you would use it if you're interested in doing your own graphic storytelling using Novillo, but I'm hoping to get there. It was kind of amazing to me that it took so much work, 6 months of pretty much constant work, to get to this point, but it's really just about interface and workflow. So what can you do? Since the last video where I showed just the first panel, I've wanted to see when I progressed further and built this next version, how far I could go with just the interface that was there. I kind of knew I couldn't, but I wanted the production problems of producing what you just saw to be the driver for what I would change. So a lot of it has had to do with changes to the selection system, and you can see that in the panel up there, which is the revision of what you can see here is the old way that looked. More elegant. The green and the yellow are just placeholders. So I'm going to get into how that works and how it changed in another video. It's upcoming, not today. One of the things that I didn't do, except maybe once or twice, was go into the database and make changes there. The positive thing about what has come out of this last section has been, or this last project has been, that the interface is now able to build what you just saw. It may not be that sophisticated, but it can build what you just saw. And the needs that are most urgent are clear in my mind for what a person creating stories in it would do. Still, to do that whole thing, sort of experimenting and trying things for the first time, took maybe 4 hours, which was, I think, longer than it should be, but also kind of reasonable given what other things that were going on. And there were some software changes along the way and so forth. So, okay, so thinking about the roadmap that I discussed a few videos ago, we're in the phase now that we're trying to use this practically for building projects. There were things that are a lot like projects, and it allows me to build the UI, as I say, out into new ways in response to real production needs. So one of the things that's really encouraging is my best guesses about how workflow should work have turned out to be, in some cases, really good guesses. And there were nice, easy, elegant ways to build things in the workflow that I'm really pleased with. Others are pretty clunky, so there's work to be done there. This is enough, I think. The progress is good. Going forward, I see 3 areas that are really clearly what's needed to make this a more viable project for me even to experiment with. The first of these is a way to just take what's on the screen, what's built inside Novillo, and export it and then re-import it back in, because I lose projects when I make changes to some aspects of the database, or just clear things out and start again, and I have no way to see this on another device than the one that I'm creating it on, which is basically a virtual simulated iPad. So that has to be done. There's some pretty good ideas about how to do that, but they're not, built, and I have to experiment to see if they'll work. The second thing is to control the order of things in terms of what appears in front of what on the screen. Because this has just been a project made up entirely of lines, you don't really see the problem because a black line on top of a black line, there's no conflict there. But when you're dealing with colored and filled shapes, it does become kind of important. Or when lines of different colors cross, and you can see that the one that should be behind is in front. Those are reasons why I have to build a system that will allow an easy way to control that. You would think that the order of things inside the drawings would control that, but it doesn't always turn out to be the case because you're dealing with multiple drawings, and you may want something from this drawing ahead of that drawing, but something otherwise that other drawing should be behind or in front of the drawing anyway. But it'll all work out so well. Just relax and think of England. And then the final thing is some way for the user to see what it is they're about to edit. Right now I give names to the different selections that are meaningful, but that will only work for a drawing of a certain level of complexity, and it'll also be hard when you're going back to a drawing and trying to figure out what you did. So I really need to build something that kind of lights up the lines or shapes that you are about to work on, and then allows you to remind yourself what it is that you're about to edit. That shouldn't be too hard to do, but I don't have a way to do it yet. But nevertheless, I was able to build this project, and I'm pretty happy with the fact that it worked out well. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Dan.